Detroit is weighing whether one veteran move at quarterback could harden our January spine without hijacking our identity. Welcome back to Lions News Fan Report, where we cut through the noise and talk like people who live this sport. Hit that like, subscribe, and ring the bell, because tonight I'm laying out the context, the cap, the tape, the locker room temperature, the timelines, and only at the end do I land the clean update. Stay with me. Here's the read from inside the building. And around the league, this roster was built to survive ugly stretches and win the middle 8. Our pass rush is tied for top 5 in sacks for a reason. And even with Marcus Davenport still on the shelf and coach keeping his return date tight, the defensive front is doing its job. What can tilt a playoff game, though, isn't just edge, depth, or a gadget on special teams. It's the quarterback room holding together when the calendar gets mean. When one rolled ankle or a cold weather game turns your plan into a scramble. That's why the market watch is live. That's why the staff keeps a weekly board of emergency fits. And that's why a familiar name has drifted from talk radio filler into actionable conversation. A 37-year-old with play-action DNA. A career built on rhythm throws and defined concepts. A pro who has made living rooms quieter by hitting crosses on time, and who, yes, struggled with interceptions last season, but still profiles as a steady hand when chaos hits. I'm talking about Kirk Cousins in Atlanta. And before you jump to the end of the story, let me set the table the way football people do. Cousins today is graded by a lot of evaluators as a no-2 with a very specific value. And he's a system elevator in offenses that sell the run and pull linebackers with hard play action. And he owns a long track record of thriving when the picture is clean. That matters in Detroit, because our offense can be brutally efficient when the ground game force is too high to tilt, when early down play action creates the easy glance route, and when the second window opens on the deep over. The fit on paper is logic, not romance. Now, the reality checkpoint. Cousins' contract is not a throw-it-in-your-pocket thing. There's a guaranteed number sitting in 2026, $10 million, that any acquiring team has to swallow or smooth. And while base figures can be handled with cash and cap mechanics, they don't disappear. You either secure a cash offset from Atlanta in the trade, rare but not impossible, negotiate a restructure on arrival, only if the player buys in, or you accept that you're paying for insurance and leadership at a premium and build the rest of the deadline around day 3 budget moves. This is why smart teams don't chase the name, they chase the structure. Let me also be straight. The league consensus pegs the actual move probability for Cousins at something like 1 in 5, and it rises only if quarterback injuries elsewhere open lanes. That kind of math won't scare aggressive G-Miz, but it will keep prices sane. If a deal exists, it probably looks like a conditional late rounder that escalates on snaps and playoff advancement. Because nobody is burning premium picks for what is, in 2025, a role player at quarterback. And that's also why the Vikings noise pops up every time their depth chart wobbles. Even though their own rookie timeline complicates a reunion, the point is, Detroit doesn't need to win a bidding war here. Detroit needs to decide if this insurance policy is better than the internal options and better than spending that pick on depth at corner or interior rush. On the field, here's what the tape says and how it translates to us. When you marry a heavy run, look to a decisive quarterback. Your shot plays arrive on schedule. Cousins has lived on those, especially from under center with hard play action, full turn of the shoulders, and a clear high-low read. He's not buying time with his legs, that's not the sell, but he can absolutely keep the offense on schedule if the pocket is honest. And in Detroit, that's not a hypothetical. It's a weekly priority. Our line still wins the line of scrimmage on the right kind of Sundays. Our tight ends can sell run fakes without tipping, and our receiver room benefits when the ball is on time rather than heroic. You want the picture? Early down. 12 personnel look, wide zone action, cross from the backside, glance front side. Leak from the Yay Cousins is built to read that like it's on a teleprompter. On third and medium, he'll take the stick when the nickel bails, and in 2 minutes, He's a timing thrower who values the sideline. The downside: tight window aggression gets dicey if his feet aren't quiet. And the 16 picks from last year weren't just bad luck, some were forced balls on late reads. The ask in Detroit would be discipline over heroics and trust in the script over Sandlot. If you're looking for style points, this isn't it. If you're looking for stability on a windy night in January when the plan needs a caretaker for 3 drives, this is exactly it. Let's talk locker room and human side. The part fans feel even if it never hits the injury report. Veteran quarterbacks come with a gravity that can stabilize rooms or warp them. The staff won't bring in a name if it muddies. The leadership channels or invites talk radio to do the depth chart for them. The expectation here will be crystal. Cousins arrives as QB2. He prepares as if he'll play, and he activates only if the season demands it. That's not disrespect, that's clarity. It also protects reps for the starter, preserves the weekly rhythm for the room, and tells the rest of the roster that the goal is to remove volatility, not chase headlines. Cousins has been a pro in multiple markets. He's known for process, and process matters in December. You target a structure where Atlanta eats a modest portion of remaining salary as compensation for a slightly better pick condition. Or you layer void year mechanics on our side to keep this year's hit tame without dragging dead money into a year you'll need for core extensions. Remember, Hutchinson's extension already tightened our room, so every dollar must carry playoff utility, not just depth chart comfort. Timeline check, because fans deserve the real calendar. The deadline is this afternoon on the East Coast, and true quarterback moves that late tend to be telegraphed by Saturday practice elevations and Sunday snap counts. The absence of smoke doesn't kill the possibility, but it does tell you the price has stayed in the responsible curiosity zone. A post-deadline pivot will be street free agency and practice squad rating less clean, less reliable, which is why decisions happen now or wait until injuries force the league's hand. The staff has a clear red line. If the room is healthy and the plan is working, you don't distract the building. If an unexpected MRI changes the map, you act within hours, not days. There's also the playoff geometry we have to say out loud. In January, defenses that live in too high and squeeze explosives will dare you to stack first downs. And that is where QB2, who lives on time and on rhythm, is quietly invaluable. Those 8-yard digs on 2nd and 7 that feel boring on TV are the oxygen of postseason football. If you can bank 3 of those in a row with a veteran who won't hand the ball to the other team, you flip field position and you let your pass rush play from ahead. That's what this conversation is about, tilting small edges at the exact time of year when small edges decide everything. I know what you're asking in your head, even if you won't say it in the comments until the last minute. Is it worth it? The professional answer is that it depends on the price and on the medicals across the room. I'll say this much: if the ask is a 2026 conditional 6 that can elevate to a 5th with 50% snaps and a playoff game, and if the cap math is solved with limited 2026 exposure, you can justify the move as an investment in stability. If the ask is richer, or the 2026 guarantee handcuffs your spring maneuvers, you pass and you trust what you've built. That's not fence sitting. That's what grown-up teams do. All right, you held your nerve for the clean update. So here it is, straight and calm. The Lions have explored the parameters on a Kirk Cousins safety net trade as the deadline hits, with structure and role defined as QB2 only. No depth chart theatrics and a strict budget line. No green light has been flipped as of this recording, but the framework the team would accept is modest pick, modest cap, clarity first. If the board stays healthy, the most likely outcome is staying put, consolidating what already works, and holding flexibility for a different move where the marginal value is higher. If the board changes due to health or a sudden price drop, the trigger is built. That's real. That's where it stands. Before we land the plane, I want your take in the thread, because our community is smarter when you put your eyes on it. Would you spend a conditional day 3 pick for a QB2 Who fits our play-action bones and gives you calm in January? Or would you preserve every dart for corner depth and trench insurance? If you pulled a lever, what's your exact threshold pick? Cap hit, roll clarity. If you pass, tell me the contingency plan you trust most and why. I'll feature the cleanest blueprint in the next upload. My final read, concise and professional. The Lions were built for January discipline, not November panic. A Cousins deal only makes sense at a responsible price that protects our core and sharpens our floor in cold weather football. If those boxes are checked, it's a grown-up hedge. If they aren't, we ride our identity and let the rest of the conference chase noise. Subscribe to Lions News Fan Report. Hit the bell and keep your comments sharp. Updates move fast, but our standard doesn't.